enthusiasts. My name is Misty, and this is Danny, and we're here today with another Astrobabble segment to talk upcoming transits for the month of May. And we're filming this towards the end of April on April 23rd. And from our last transit video, I'd say a lot of the stuff we discussed last month definitely played out for the month of April, especially we were talking about it before we were recording, but around April 19th to 20th. I was cracking jokes about it in the last video, being like, oh, 420 is going to be rude. And then it was actually like horrendous. So that was an illuminating moment for me to maybe like not trying to brush everything off and make a joke out of it. So,
And
Danny,
sometimes it's
how
the only way to survive.
yeah, it is the only way to survive sometimes. I can't help it. Like, I have a Sagittarius Jupiter, you guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Danny, how was the month for you?
Um, yeah, rude. Rude for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my phone died, which just like put me in um what's the word? Exile. Yeah, I felt like I was living in exile for sure. Like I haven't been able to do my forecasts and like I had this old phone, so I wasn't completely cut off from the world, but I definitely felt like I was like sending out a pigeon instead of like communicating with the real world for real, which totally fits Mars Saturn conjunction in my third house.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. My son had surgery and he's Aries rising, so the
Oh,
Mars Saturn
wow.
conjunction happened in his first house. So that was spot on, but not too rude. It was a minor, not but like completely scheduled outpatient surgery, not a big deal. But I just
Yeah.
thought it was funny because they like waited a whole month to schedule it, and then I was like, I know they're gonna schedule this. I know when they're gonna do it, and that's exactly when it was. Um, then I had a bird stuck in my studio, my other job, so that was horrible. Bird stuck in there for 3 days, and all the things that come with a wild animal stuck in a business for 3 days. So that
Yeah.
was my personal life, mostly the phone thing. So it's taken me like 2 weeks to like get my phone back. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm ready for I'm ready to be back in the real world. How about you? How was your month?
My month was not too bad, just settling into my new job. And the biggest issue has just been the routine and not working from home anymore.
Yeah.
But most of the chaos missed me for the most part. There was a moment, especially in the shift from like Pisces season to Aries season, where like starting my job in Pisces season, it was very slow. And I was like, do. And then Aries season comes in and it's like, oh my God, all the stuff that we have to do.
Yeah.
So that was the most part. Most of the chaos besides that was just bearing witness to the chaos of the people around me.
Right.
So overall, it was good.
Yeah. I definitely have felt a shift once Mercury entered Aries. Like, oh, there is not enough time to do all the things.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like really just, but it's also, I have also felt like I've been cutting things. Like I can accomplish 6 things a day, period. And like,
Hmm.
if this is not a priority of my 6 things today, then it's going to tomorrow. I have felt very like that I can clearly do that, which is great. But it just means that like things don't happen. But I mean, again, like the Mars Saturn of it all, of just like my phone's taking too long, my computer's taking too long, like that.
Yeah.
The third house things are just in a traffic jam. So I'm ready to feel that completely released over the next week.
Hell yeah. Well,
Oh
let's
yeah.
jump into it, I guess, and let's see what we have coming up for the first week of May.
Cool. All right. Well, Friday, May 1st, we get a bunch of stuff happening. This month starts pretty loud. We have 3 things happening on Friday. So the day is going to feel really important. It's not a quiet start First, we have a full moon in Scorpio, which brings exposure of hidden dynamics, emotional intensity, and themes of power, control, and trust. And collectively, this can look like secrets surfacing, emotional turning points, and shifts in relationships, finances, or shared resources. This is the axis of Taurus and Scorpio. So, this is stability versus transformation, comfort versus truth. The new moon in Scorpio was November 19th, 20th of last year. So you can look at some of the themes that showed up in your life then, and this is kind of a culmination point to that story. So if you want to think about it in that way, that could be helpful. We're going to feel heightened emotions, deep clarity about what's no longer sustainable, and intensity in relationships. So plan ahead of this by being aware. Don't suppress what comes up, observe it, and try to avoid reacting from emotional extremes. Now, also happening this day, we have Mercury meeting up with Chiron in Aries, and this will bring conversations around wounds, identity, and self expression, and people speaking truths they have avoided. So, we will feel vulnerability in communication, encouraged to say something difficult. So, be prepared to speak honestly, but with awareness because healing will come through expression. These two transits are highlighting the same energy, right? Like the full moon in Scorpio is looking into the depths of our wounds, of our like deep truthiness that we like to hide, but now we have to look at it because there's a full moon there. And then Chiron is our super wound, and we're having to talk about it. So this feels like a super pokey day, okay?
Hmm.
Super pokey. But sometimes you have to open the wound in order for it to heal. And so we're just going to open it and look at it and shine the moon energy in there and deal with it. Okay, deal with it head on, not being reactive, trying to stay in alignment. And then the good news is that we're going to have some supportive energy that day as well because Venus and Gemini will be sextiling Saturn and Aries. So this will bring some grounding in relationships and realistic conversations about commitment. So it feels like the wound gets addressed and there's a support to move forward, especially in your close relationships. We're going to feel a desire for stability within connection and clarity about what feels sustainable. So be prepared by choosing consistency over intensity. So that is the first day of May, and it's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, yeah, just the first day. Okay, then we get into Saturday the next day, and Mercury enters Taurus, and communication is going to slow down. Thankfully, we get a little bit of a like let's focus. And our focus is going to shift on practicality, finances, and stability. We're going to feel more grounded in our thinking and less urgency, and we're going to be allowed to have more intention. So you can be prepared to take time with your decisions. And we'll have a super emotional, we just had the super emotional peak on Friday, but things won't turn out as bad as we think that they're going to. We're feeling like all these feelings, and we think it's going to be the end of the world, and then it's not going to be. And then we start to stabilize, particularly in our mental activity and communication. So what we're thinking about and what we're talking about gets a little more stable. And this will also be interesting because Uranus just finally left Taurus. So it's like Mercury comes in and we all get to readdress what that stability actually is now that we don't have this topsy-turvy Uranus energy that's left the building, thankfully. Okay, so Uranus has left the Taurus building. He's on to the Gemini stuff. And now we get to have Mercury in Taurus and we get to think about and talk about stability now that stability can be stable again. Okay, then we get to breathe on Sunday, and then Monday, Mars is going to square Jupiter. And so the weekend continues the energy of just like stable. And then on Monday, we get an explosion. Okay, so Mars in Aries will square Jupiter in Cancer, and this will show up as big reactions, bold moves fueled by emotion, and tension between independence and emotional security. So we will feel impulsiveness, overconfidence, and emotional defensiveness. So prepare not to overextend yourself this day and check whether your actions are aligned or reactive. This is expansion, but expansion without direction can become chaos. So be careful. So try to channel that Mercury and Taurus energy we were just talking about and slow down a little bit to combat that impulsiveness. But then on Tuesday, Mercury is going to square Pluto, but it also will sextile the North Node. So the beginning of the day, this stable Mercury has two conversations happening. So first, it's going to square Pluto in Aquarius and then sextile the North Node in Pisces. So first, we're going to have intense conversations We might uncover some more hidden information that kind of was hinted at by the Scorpio full moon. There may be some power struggles in communication. We may feel an obsession with the truth and difficulty letting things go mentally. So do your best to avoid control tactics in communication and stay open to deeper understanding. And then the good news is that this is quick moving energy. Okay, it's just the beginning of the day because very quickly Mercury is going to focus on the North Node after dealing with Pluto. And this is a sextile, it's a happy conversation, and it's going to soften things. So this is meaningful conversations giving future direction and intuitive clarity around decisions. So we will feel a sense that the conversations that we're having now really matter. So pay attention to what feels significant. And then finally, the last thing happening this week is that on Wednesday, May 6th, Pluto will station retrograde in Aquarius. This is a big collective energy shift. We will see a reassessment of power structures, reflection on technology, systems, and collective dynamics, and an internalization of this transformation energy that Pluto brings. So, this is subtle but deep introspection and awareness of what needs to change long term. So, don't force the change today. This is a very long process. Pluto will be in Aquarius for 20 years. We will have this pattern of external change, and then internal realizations about what needs to transform next, and then external change happening as Pluto goes back and forth over these degrees and takes 20 years to move through the whole sign of Aquarius. So for today, just observe where this long-term transformation is already happening. The power isn't disappearing, it's just going inward to start the hidden transformation first. So like sometimes okay, I need to reorganize my closet for like 6 months before you actually do it, right? And
Hmm.
that's this is the same energy. Like sometimes it takes you like completely processing it in your head, and then you can finally make it come out into the real world and manifest it, right? So this is the internalization process when you're figuring out what needs to change, and then we'll get to manifest it once Pluto turns back direct. And then we'll get a little bit of a break until next week. So the theme of the week is that truth is surfacing, pressure is building, and direction is clarifying. The week starts intense and revealing, and then it moves into mental focus, power dynamics, and collective recalibration. So, anything you want to add about any of that? Ready to go into the next week?
Wow, that is a really busy week, that
So
first week
much.
of May. I do love a good Mercury square Pluto. I do have that natally. So I will say, like, fantastic for getting into like researching stuff. And especially on
Mhm.
Tuesday, you might find yourself working on something and then not realizing that time is passing.
Yeah.
Definitely stuff like that. And then for Wednesday's Pluto retrograde, I do not like historically, I don't talk about outer planet retrogrades too
Yeah.
much in my transit reports because it's really not that big of a deal. The outer planets are retrograde for a good chunk of the year. I really just put it in there because people are like, well, retrogrades. But for
Yeah.
like, don't attach the big, scary, alarmist retrograde energy to this transit. It will impact you most personally when it comes to your own chart. And if it's aspecting any personal planets, those retrogrades will revisit them. It's kind of like those outer planet transits, like moving direct and then retrograde, it's just kind of like rubbing you until it
It's
moves
like
on.
it's like drawing with a ballpoint pen on a piece of paper until you like go through the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you
that's
have personal placements, especially in the fixed signs, I would say, so that's going to be Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, those fixed signs, those are going to be the most irritated if you have the planets in the early degrees of those signs. So take a look at your own chart. Otherwise, don't worry
yeah,
too
like
much about it.
3 to 7, probably three to
Yeah.
seven degrees. So, um, I would say like if you're pretty sensitive to energies, it's like this is stuff that's going, the outer planets are just going on in the background, but you do feel them when they turn around,
Yeah.
direct or retrograde, because they're the closest to the Earth at that point. But other than that, like unless it's really aspecting a degree in your personal natal chart, it's not going to be like bells and whistles.
Yeah, no. So just a
Just
note on
stuff
that.
that's going on over there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So on to week two. Our summary for week two of May is that this is where we're getting to chill out.
Thank God.
This is where we're getting to chill out. Week 2 of May is really pleasurable, but it's still here to teach us something. We see an expansion of our material desires and our desire for leisure time. And this week especially wants us leaving more of that. So we're really thinking about like, I want more of this. How do I make it happen? So we start off the week on Mother's Day, Sunday, May 10th, with the Sun in Taurus sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. Today brings an opportunity to get cozy AF. The Sun in Taurus shines a light on leisure, while Jupiter in Cancer expands our sense of comfort and motherly nurturing. The moon also will be in Pisces during this time. So it's a time to reminisce and wrap yourself up in some unconditional love. And with Taurus's ruling planet in Gemini, there's still a social energy fueling this. So it's really like the perfect Mother's Day. Like, take your mom out for brunch and mimosas for real.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, brunch and mimosas on Mother's Day for sure. We get a break on Monday, and then on Tuesday, May 12th, a few days later, we have Mercury in Taurus making the same aspect to Jupiter in Cancer. And this is an opportunity to expand our thoughts and have open conversations regarding these topics of comfort, security, family matters, even. And the key difference especially is that the moon is now in Aries. So there's a little bit more go, go, go behind this energy that wants to move slowly. And it's a little bit like I want to be slow, but I kind of like when you're chilling out, but thinking about all the stuff you have to do. My ideal way to spend this transit would be using up that social energy of Venus in Gemini with that energetic moon in Aries to find some social leisure time. So hang out with friends, but in a more intimate setting. And it's kind of this energy of like having a little get together in someone's home space.
Fun.
Yeah, so definitely get social on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, May 14th, our thoughts are illuminated, likely inspired by the previous Jupiter conversations we had a few days prior. And this is a Sun conjunction with Mercury and Taurus. So um, we're really thinking about what matters to us right now. With Taurus's ruling planet in Gemini, you could experience a certain aha moment just from having the right conversation. So if you're in a place in your life, like we're thinking about like how we invite more pleasure into our lives. Usually, to get there, we have to work for it. So, if you're in a place in your life where you really want to plan for security and stability, like make that appointment with that financial advisor, talk to that real estate agent, talk to your academic advisor, like start a conversation that can help you figure out where you need to go. So yeah, that's a good day for aha moments. And then on Friday, May 16th, the first aspect of this day is a conjunction between Mars and Chiron in Aries, two planetary bodies associated with wounding that remind us that we need to take action to overcome. So we might feel a little bit sensitive, but in a frustrated way today. Um, Gaining some support from Venus and Gemini, this is a moment for a little bit of tough love from maybe some of these conversations you've had a few days prior. Kind of that social energy that reminds it's like a friend saying like, "Hey, why aren't you doing this? Go
Mm.
do it." And then 30 minutes after this aspect, we have a new moon in Taurus. So, after all of these thoughts and conversations we've had this week about Taurus themed matters, the new moon in Taurus on Friday is your opportunity to really plant the seed to get it started. You're determined today to stick to a new plan that's been brewing up in your head. So, take that first step, but know that it does not come instantly. You have to be patient, take it step by step, be diligent about it to reach this outcome that you want when it relates to like your sense of stability, the material things in your life, your desires, the things that you want. We're really figuring out how to start that right now.
Nice.
Any thoughts?
I'm looking forward to the new moon in Taurus. I'm
Yeah.
excited to have a new beginning there with Uranus gone.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like probably like this axis, the Taurus Scorpio axis, it was really tough at the beginning of the month. And
Hmm.
I think that this will be like, okay, that was pokey. How can we do this better?
Yeah.
In this story of these, of this 6 month to 6 month, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? From the
Yeah.
Scorpio new moon to the Scorpio full moon, Taurus new moon to the Taurus full moon. And yeah, they like happen 6 months apart from each other. So I think that we're riding this wave, and I think this will be a nice one that
Yeah.
maybe won't throw us off our surfboard.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we have a little bit more stability with the seed that we're planting the seed in some good soil.
Yeah, I mean, just to like put a little bit of attention on Uranus and Taurus as they leave, like Taurus is our most stable part of our life. Wherever Taurus is in your chart, that is your stability that you've been depending on your entire life, except for the last 7 years. Like you
Hmm.
could not depend on the stableness that you have been able to just to depend on for your whole life. And so, like if you're super young, there's a part of you that thought that you could not have any stability at all
Yeah.
because it's 7 years. I mean, probably for you, Misty, like because of when the 7 years was for you, like there's probably a part of your life that you didn't ever think would be stable again that's suddenly gonna be stable again. And
Oh yeah.
it's gonna feel like you're, landing on Earth again and you want to like kiss the
Hmm.
sand after like being stuck out at sea or something. And Uranus isn't sea, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or like after an earthquake, like, oh, I didn't ever think that it would ever be stable again. And so to have this new beginning happening pretty quickly after Uranus is leaving Taurus, I think is a blessing that we get to reminded that stability is possible.
Hmm.
So I'm very hopeful for it. I think
Yes.
as a fixed person, as Aquarius rising fixed person, I am ready for some stable stuckness.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm ready. And it leaves a few days from the time we're recording this. So once this is
Yes,
out, it'll be out of Taurus. But yes, I am
girl,
excited for that to leave in a few
I
days.
am counting down the minutes
Hmm.
because I also have Venus natally at 29:56 of Scorpio.
Hmm.
So yeah, that yeah, I'm ready. Which
Hell
rules
yeah.
Taurus, right? So like not only is it super like I'm getting like an exclamation point.
Yeah, you're getting rocked right now.
It's okay, it's done though. That was Monday. That was the 20th. That was my bird. So that was the
Hmm.
bird in the studio. So that's done. But the perfection. Anyways, all right. So Uranus, that happens on Saturday, right? Friday.
Yes,
Saturday.
it's either
Saturday
Friday or
morning.
Saturday. It's like an iffy time zone situation. So some things
Yeah.
will say Saturday, some will say
Over
Friday.
Friday to
But
Saturday. Yeah.
pretty much.
All right. We're almost there. We're like a day away.
All right, well, take us into week 3 of
Yes,
May.
week 3. Okay. Speaking of Uranus, on Sunday, May 17th, Mercury is going to conjoin Uranus as Mercury enters Gemini. And then also Venus will sextile Chiron. So starting this week on Sunday, May 17th, we're going to feel like a total vibe shift and like it comes out of nowhere. Okay. So Mercury is going to enter Gemini and that's going to make communication speed up. So we just like had this focused, slow, deliberate talking through everything, and now it's going to get real fast. Okay, and we're going to be talking really fast about all the things, and we're going to think about all the things. It's just going to keep going, 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 and we're going to have a million miles a minute because that's what happens when Mercury goes into Gemini. Okay, and then it's also going to meet up with Uranus, which is a surprise of minute energy. So we will see sudden news, breakthroughs, and announcements. We are going to feel so buzzy and like we cannot contain ourselves, and it's going to be insane. Okay, it's just going to be like this. We're going to be talking like this, and everyone's going to be talking like this. Okay, now I'm going to breathe because that's not what we're doing right now. There will be shifts in communication and technology and unexpected conversation. We will feel mentally stimulated and have rapid thoughts and more aha moments. Okay, so try to stay flexible today and have a notebook handy. So just this whole time that Mercury is in Gemini, keep a notebook in your pocket so that you can write down things immediately or you're going to lose them. That's just
Hmm.
reality. Then Venus in Gemini is going to sextile Chiron in Aries, and this will bring some healing energy to relationships and conversations that repair connection. So this is where communication can become healing. So we're like having these aha moments. Da, 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 da. Okay, I do love you. We don't need to fight anymore. This is my wound. This is where that wound came from. How can I handle that with some pleasure in my life? Those are the kind of things that are going to happen on that Sunday.
Love it.
Um, and it's Sunday too. So like at least it's not happening on a Monday when you have to be at work.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Like we'll get it. Yeah, we'll get a second to get used to this Mercury and Gemini energy. And then on Monday, Mercury's going to sextile Neptune. So we're going to get a whole like splash of water on this energy. And more Mars will enter Taurus and Venus will enter Cancer. So this is another huge vibe shift. Okay, big shifts are still happening between Sunday and Monday of this week. We have a few things happening and they're going to bring a major tone shift. So Mercury sextiling Neptune will start the day with intuitive thinking, creativity, imagination, but also the potential for confusion. And then Mars is going to enter Taurus, and this is slower, more deliberate action and focus on stability, finances, and long term goals. So, where Mars goes is where our energy and focus goes. So, we just were like communicating about all the things that we want to be stable. And now we actually get to put energy into making those things stable. So, Mars is losing some of his power because he's leaving Aries where he's got so much power. And this could be a really good thing if the energy around you has felt less empowering and more agitating or argumentative. So it's sometimes good for Mars to lose power a little bit.
Hmm.
We're going to feel less urgency and more persistence. And then Venus is going to enter Cancer, and things are going to feel sweeter and more family and community oriented, which will be nice and cozy. So we'll have emotional connection becoming a priority, and we're going to focus on home, family, and safety. We're going to feel a nurturing energy and a desire for emotional security. So, in general, today the energy just slows down, but it also deepens,
Hmm.
which I think will be nice. And school's coming to an end. We're about to head into the summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and like things will slow down. We get to have our finals because Mercury is in Gemini, and then everything has to slow down, and school doesn't really matter anymore, and we just get to like figure out how to talk to our friends and go to the pool.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Then on Tuesday, the 19th, Venus is going to sextile Mars and Mercury will trine Pluto, newly retrograde in Aquarius. So Venus sextiling Mars is going to bring harmony between desire and action. This is supportive relationship energy. And then Mercury is going to trine Pluto, and that's going to be deep, meaningful conversations and powerful insights. So this is a really good day to say what matters. And if there are conversations that you need to have, today's a good day to have them. So go ahead and plan a month out to have that
Yes.
conversation then, because there's not been great conversation energy heading up to this. And then Wednesday on the 20th of May, the sun will enter Gemini. And so communication will increase even more. So this is curiosity, movement, and social energy, and we'll feel lighter mood and mental stimulation. This is like getting out of school and going and having fun with your friends. Like we're all in high school and school just ended, and we're just going to all go to the drive-in and be talking to our friends and not watching the movie at all. And it's just so fun, and we don't have to worry about school. It's that energy. And then Friday, May 22nd, we've got many things going on. So you will probably feel a little bit all over the place. Venus in Cancer is going to square Neptune in Aries, and this is going to bring romantic illusion versus reality to the forefront. So very like that Grease scene in the drive-in movie theater that I just talked about. That like we don't know what's going on, who's hooking up with who, what's happening, that energy. Then watch out for emotional confusion. And then the sun will meet up with Uranus and Gemini, bringing sudden changes, breakthroughs, and disruption of your routine. So don't expect things to go as planned today. Okay, it's Friday. It's Friday. Yay. Okay, it's just going to happen. Then Mercury is going to sextile Saturn, and that will bring a little bit of groundedness, thankfully. So trust the structures that you have in place that or are building. And this is grounded communication and practical thinking. And then finally, Venus will trine the North Node, which is a meaningful relationship alignment. It brings connections that feel faded. Today is going to feel like clarity and confusion at the same time. This is excitement and emotional sensitivity. So don't rush decisions today and let things reveal themselves. Not everything magical is meant to last. Sometimes it's just a magic trick, but some things are meant to change you. So week 3 is mental breakthroughs, emotional shifts, and relationship realignment. This is fast moving, social, and mentally stimulating. So Gemini energy takes over, but we still have emotional undertones. So thoughts on the third week?
I mean, it doesn't sound too bad. It sounds like a good time, and I love just the timing of everything. That's why I love astrology. It just lines
Yes.
up perfectly of, we're going into summer, we're in spring. It's that time where you want to go out and hang out with the homies after
Yeah.
work. Like we're feeling very social, so I am highly looking forward to that. But going into week 4, I especially think some of this more chaotic, confusing energy on Friday the 22nd is definitely setting us up for a little bit of a more conflicting final week of May.
Yes.
So the summary of this week, the last week of May brings Memorial Day weekend. The astrological energy is promising. It is promising for having a good party. However, expect some social conflict that leads to an illumination of social changes that need to happen. So we start off Sunday, May 24th. The first aspect of this week starts with Mars and Taurus sextiling the North Node in Pisces and trining the South Node in Virgo. Your action today can be inspired by the more positive side of your inner Virgo. This looks like taking action through meticulous detail. You'll likely feel very bogged down by it and frustrated, just getting lost in all the little pieces of bullshit, essentially. But with the sextile to the North Node in Pisces, it's just a gentle support that reminds you to be forgiving and patient with yourself. You do not have to achieve perfection, and the more you try to, the more frustrated you'll get because Mars and Taurus is going to be frustrated, unfortunately. Following that aspect, we have the Sun and Gemini forming a sextile to Neptune in Aries. This energy is like trying to drive through the rain with your high beams on. If you do it, they'll just reflect back to you and blind you. Especially as we separate from last week's Sun Uranus conjunction, making our attention feel really scattered. It can really feel hard to see what's actually going on today. Don't expect things to make sense. However, if you're still partying over Memorial Day weekend, this is the vibe for it. This is this kind of like, I'm drunk with friends and nothing, I don't know what's going on. So good vibe for party time, not so good for practicalities.
At least it's a
Just go
Sunday.
with the flow. Tap into that North Node in Pisces and just allow the flow to happen. On Monday, so Memorial Day, expect some friction. Especially on the 25th going into the 26th, as the Sun in Gemini squares the North Node in Pisces, and Mars in Taurus squares Pluto in Aquarius later. Memorial Day brings this weird, tense energy that something's got to give. There's a knowing that you should be flexible and you should be adaptable and you should go with the flow. But at the end of the day, it's like you're on vacation with friends and everyone wants to do their own thing and it's annoying. And later this evening, when Mars exacts at square to Pluto, it's just this energy of like you're letting that annoyance get to you. And you're just festering on it and letting it brew, and you're pissed off now. So, luckily the moon is in Libra during this time, so that does lend us some support to like smoothing things over. As we go into Tuesday, we also have the sun trining Pluto, which I do think is going to help us smooth things over a bit more. Um, we're back to the grind, and yesterday's issue has been illuminated more as the sun harmonizes with Pluto. Like maybe you realize you were the problem, or maybe someone else acknowledges that they were the problem. But it's just a spotlight shining on what really happened. You're getting some clarity of what was going on behind the surface there. So hopefully you can move past whatever conflicting energy you encounter on Memorial Day. And then we do get a break on Wednesday, but on Thursday, May 28th, we experience more friction, this time between our pleasures versus our responsibilities as Venus in Cancer squares Saturn in Aries. So Venus in Cancer wants to stay home and be comfy, cozy, and be around family and the people who you want to nurture and be close with. Meanwhile, Saturn in Aries asks us to take the lead in handling business. And this could also show up on a more personal level when it comes to taking care of your home space or fulfilling familial duties. It's just like a tough love aspect of doing what you need to do, even if it's not the most pleasant. Overall, I would not recommend this Thursday or Friday for a date night. It's just going to feel hard to be super affectionate. Yeah. And then we end the month with a full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st. So, full moons create a balancing act between two opposing signs that lead to illuminations. Kind of like when you're talking directly to someone face to face and you can actually see them versus like if like you were sitting off to my side and I'm not looking at you, I can only see you for my peripherals. So that's a visual of how a full moon looks. But the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius is really centered around knowledge, information, and our beliefs about it. It's this energy of think locally, act globally. The sun in Gemini illuminates our day-to-day social interactions, while the moon in Sagittarius reflects what we really believe about it. So we get some support from Saturn and Aries to set vigilant boundaries, and Neptune in Aries chimes in to remind us that things aren't supposed to be sensical right now. And then we are also getting some support from Pluto to remind us that things need to change on a social level. So, really pay attention to your social life right now and use this full moon to reflect on maybe limiting beliefs that you might have adopted from the people around you, or how your philosophies have been shaped by the people around you and by the information that you consume, whether it's from like your homies or from the information you consume online, how it's shaping your beliefs. So that's what I've got for the last week of May.
All right, so that's May. This month feels like a mix of emotional truth, mental movement, and realignment, and especially in how we communicate, connect, and move forward. So, if you take one thing from this forecast, take this: not every moment of intensity is a crisis. Some of it is clarity. Let the full moons, because we get two of them, reveal what's real, and let the conversation guide you. We get blue moon. You know that's a blue moon, right?
Oh, shoot, I forgot about that. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
So when you have two, yeah, so blue moon is not astrological. It's just when you have two full moons in an astral in a calendar month, then we have a blue moon. So we get one
Mm-hmm.
this month. So we'll sing the song. Um, so anyways, let the shifts happen without trying to control every outcome. Go with the flow. That's what we know. That's what astrology is for, is to just try
Mm-hmm.
to like help you not get lost in the sauce
Yeah.
So do you have any thoughts about the month as a whole?
It's like this really interesting dynamic of just pure fun and pleasure, but also handling the chaos through that. So it's going to be dynamic. It's going to be
Yeah,
dynamic. So just write it out. A
I feel like
Gemini
it's gonna
energy, the
go
Gemini
ahead.
energy is about being adaptable. Be
Yeah.
adaptable.
Yeah, be adaptable. I feel like the beginning of the month is going to be really, really pokey.
Yeah.
Um, but it gets over pretty quickly. Like it's mostly happening at the very beginning, on the first, and then we get to really just kind of like enjoy ourselves and
Hmm.
maybe feel guilty for enjoying ourselves, but still
Ooh.
enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what the month feels like to me. Like I feel like things have been really hard, obviously, this year, and like maybe they're not quite as hard this month, and we're not
Yeah.
used to that. And like there's guilt and shame that are going to come with us feeling like things aren't as hard as they've been. And that's like the
Yeah.
emotional part of it and all the stuff that we're having to deal with Pluto, but still we just get to be social and enjoy ourselves. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
I would say so, yeah. And I think that's especially probably speaking to that Saturn and Aries, just especially the harder aspects being made to it this month of just like that need to maybe brace yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a dynamic month, but I think it'll be a good time.
I think it is a little bit of a break too because
Yeah,
it's not as bad as they've been.
yeah, exactly.
And
I'm
I
looking
feel
forward
like
to it.
and I do really, really, to say it again, feel like Uranus being in Gemini is going to feel so much better than it's felt being in Taurus. And if you just think back to like, I bet I was thinking about this today, like a lot of the difference that we would have felt last summer and the beginning of the fall when Uranus left Taurus for a preview and went into Gemini had less to do with Uranus being in Gemini and what that was bringing, and more to do with how it felt for Uranus not to be in Taurus.
Hmm.
Like I was realizing, like, because it's in my fourth house. Like I was realizing that like my life, my actual home felt stable,
Hmm.
and like how it hasn't felt stable again since the middle of the fall last year. Um, and then it hadn't for the 7 years before that, right? Does that make sense? Would you
Yeah,
agree? For
yeah,
your experience with Uranus. So like I think this beginning of Uranus leaving Taurus is going to be so much more about like having stability again, more than what it's going to mean in Gemini. Like that's going to reveal itself. We're going to figure that out. Uranus likes being in Gemini. He's in an arcade and having fun, right? But he's been like walking around in the forest, and that is not where Uranus wants to be. So, anyways, to get stuck on that. So, I would just say remember that you don't need to have everything figured out this month. Okay, there's a lot that's going to be revealed to ourselves, to us, and also like Uranus moving into Gemini is the last big shift, right? Like
yes. The
once we're
last
going,
one.
yeah, once we go into May, like this is the new world that we're in for the next 10 years, almost. Like we get to be in our new lives. Um, so we have entered the new book. We are in the next movie. You know what I
New
mean? So
chapters.
yes,
New
the new
chapters.
chapter. So it's new. It's new. We don't have to have it all figured out. We're just entering the first. It's like a new book more than a new chapter,
Yeah.
right? Like we're just at the first chapters of this new book. So just stay aware of what's changing and respond with intention instead of reaction. Remember that. So, what do you have going on this month, Misty?
This month my books are closed to everyone except for my return clients because things have been busy. Um, but I am doing mini pop-up readings every first Friday Art Walk if you're a Springfield, Missouri local, at Forming Art Studios, and then every third Thursday at Mystical Thoughts Shop in Springfield, Missouri. I'll be doing mini sessions. And besides that, I am continuing to push out the Zodiac collection. So Miss
Love
Taurus
it.
is available on my website right now and will be available at Formed Gallery and then also Mystical Thoughts in person if you prefer to shop in person. You can find me at mercurialgirlstudios.com.
Yes, amazing. I by the time this is up, surely I'll be back in my forecast because I got my new phone. So I'll have my forecasts going again, my daily horoscopes on all of the platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Um, so I'll have all that going. I probably am gonna close my books in May. It's recital season in my other world, in my dance world. But I've got some exciting things that I think are gonna be happening in the summer, but that's in the summer. So we'll see. Check out my website, planetsinpraxis.com, and on all the socials at Planets in Praxis. All right. Well, thank you all for being here and listening and moving through this with us. Do you have any final thoughts, Misty?
No final thoughts. I'm just looking forward to May, and I'll see you
I
all
am
later.
too. I am too. So if this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.